Okay, now let's take a look at how you can filter the lists. Okay, so for example, I have a list. Okay, let's say L, um, okay, list 1, and this is equal to some random numbers which I can also take as input, but for the purpose of this demonstration I am taking it as a static list, okay, that I have already entered. I want to separate the even and odd numbers from this, and all numbers in this list are not even or odd. Let's say for example a number like 9.5 should be in neither of the lists. So now I will show you two ways to do this. One is using the filter function. Now to use filter function, first I need to have another function which will return true for even numbers and false for odd numbers, or vice versa. Okay, so it should return some boolean value for either even or odd numbers. Okay, so instead of writing a separate function, I will create one function on the fly using lambda. So I will say filter lambda. This is the anonymous single line short function I am creating. I will simply say x mod 2. Okay, it simply returns x mod 2. This is the function. Now, which list I'm applying it on? I'm applying it on list 1. So the two parameters of filter here are, first parameter is the function that you want to apply, and second parameter is the list on which you want to apply the function. Now, the result will be a list. Now in this case, x mod 2 will be 0 for even numbers and it will be 1 for odd numbers. And 0 is considered as false by default. Okay, so in fact, this will give me a list of odd numbers, because for odd numbers, x mod 2 will be 1 and 1 is considered as true by default. Okay, so if I run this and I run this and I see the output, okay, I have to convert it to a list. Okay, this is a filter object. If I convert this to a list, I get all the odd numbers. But in fact, still there is a problem here, because x mod 2, if it is anything other than 0, it will be considered as true. So although for 9.5 I don't exactly get a 1, still it is something not equal to 0, so it is considered as true. So I can refine this. Okay, I can just say if it is strictly equal to 1, then it is odd. Okay, and now I will get the odd numbers exactly. Similarly for even numbers. Now this is one way. I hope you have understood this, how to filter the list using lambda and filter function. Now we can do the same thing using list comprehensions. Okay, so again, list comprehension, it is a list comprehension, so it will be within square brackets. What function do you want to apply to each, or what operation do you want to apply to each element? You want to apply x mod 2 equal to, like you want to check whether it is divisible by 2 and what remainder it leaves when it is divided by 2. So x mod 2 you are applying to each element. But so what further do you want to do? You want to add it to some list based on that verdict. Okay, so basically it is a list of all x for x in list 1 if x mod 2 is equal to 1. and I will call it as odd 2, and then I will display odd 2. Okay, it gives me the same output. For even, so let's do this for even. Okay, so for even it will be even equal to a list of all x for x in list 1. This you have normally done in your list comprehension. Then you see what operation and what result. So you apply the operation x mod 2 equal to, and the result is, let's say, equal to 0. Then it is in even. Okay, and you can see the contents of the even list. Okay, so this gives you the correct output. Only thing you have to remember here is you first have to enlist where are you obtaining x from. So you are obtaining x from the list 1. Which x you are picking? You are picking the x only if it follows this condition. So firstly there is the for component, then the if component, and finally there is the operation component. Now here I am picking as it is. Let's say I apply some other condition. Let's say for example, if they are odd numbers, I will multiply by 3 and add 1, and if they are even numbers, I will simply double it. Okay, so in that case it will be, I am applying the operation 3 into x plus 1, and in case of even, let's say I'm doubling it, for example, whatever operation you want to apply. Okay, so in this case I'll call it, let's say, odd 3 and even 2 or whatever. Okay, so then you can see what odd 3 is. As you can see, every element here will be multiplied 3 and added 1 to it. Okay, and even 2 will be every element in this twice. So I hope you get the idea of how filters and list comprehensions work on